Hi, my name is Laura Kombrink. I am a realtor with EXP Realty, and I serve the communities around Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. Oh, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the video series. If this is the first video that you've kind of come to near the end of the series, so please make sure to check out the rest of the videos that I've done. This series is about getting your home ready to sell and selling it. And what we have covered so far is decluttering, freshening up, repairs and renovations, how to choose a realtor, how your home's market value is determined. What does that mean? We've covered preparing for people coming through your home, preparing for showings. We've we've talked about offers and contracts. And today I want to talk about inspections and appraisals. So I'm kind of pulling you through the whole process here. And now you've got your house on the market, people have been coming through, you've received an offer, it's been negotiated back and forth, we've landed on a contract, and now we're heading to closing date. So what oftentimes people aren't aware of is we think when we were doing the negotiating, right? We got offers, we're doing counter offers, we're back and forth, and we settle onto contract. We think we're done with negotiating. Whew. But we're not. So what's going to happen next is there's some deadlines that the buyer has to meet, and there's some requirements that their lender, if they're getting a mortgage, they're going to have to meet those requirements for the lender. So one of the first things that happens is a home inspection. Now, if you were with me in my first series, when we were talking the third video, repairs and renovations, I mentioned that it might be a good idea for you as a seller to hire an inspector before you put your home on the market so that they can find any structural or safety issues so they don't come up as a surprise after we get under contract. You don't have to do that. I recommend it. Now we're at that place where the buyer is going to be hiring an inspector, and that inspector is going to come through your house, and they're going to do a very thorough inspection. A lot of questions come up at this point. First of all, if you did do your own inspection, a lot of my clients will say, well, will they accept our inspection report? They might, but their realtor probably won't allow that. I would not with my buyers because the inspector is working for the person who pays for it. And in this case, the buyer pays for their inspector, or they should. So 9 times out of 10, if it were my buyer, I would not want them to trust your inspector. You paid for that inspector. You know, I don't know that situation. My buyer doesn't know what that situation was. So buyers are going to most likely want to bring an inspector into your home. You must allow them to do that. Okay. I've had sellers sometimes want to push back and say, well, no, I don't want these people in my home. You have to allow them to come in and do their inspection, or you may be breaching of contract. Remember in my last video, contract is a legal binding document. Everybody has to do what they're supposed to do. One of the things that you have to do as a seller is make your home accessible to the inspector and to the appraiser. You don't have to make your home accessible to everybody, okay? Inspector, appraiser, the buyers, if there's repairs, things like that. So inspector comes through, and this is where it gets kind of tricky. You are certainly allowed to be present when the inspector is coming through your home. What you should not be doing, and sometimes what sellers do, is they want to ask the inspector questions, they interfere with the inspector's work. So what I generally recommend is that you're certainly welcome to be present, but stay out of the way, okay? Let's go back to showings because I don't think I covered this. You should not be present during showings either. And the reason for that is it's intimidating to buyers. It impedes the process. It doesn't help the process. You could accidentally say something that you aren't even aware that could kill the deal or give the buyer's agent leverage in negotiations. So it's best if you're not there doing showings. It's okay if you're there during inspections. Not my favorite thing, but if you want to be, just don't interfere with the inspector. The inspector's not going to answer your questions. He's not working for you. I mean, he'll be polite. Inspectors are extremely polite, but he's there to answer the buyer's questions. If you got an inspection, then you should have a pretty good idea of what might come up. If you've repaired it, you've got those receipts, and the inspector shouldn't find something there. But inspectors will find things, and one inspector might find something and another inspector might find something else. So don't think that just because you got your own inspection done that you have everything covered. Another inspector may find something, but all the major systems should be fine. If you got your own inspector, they point out the major systems, you repaired those things, then they should be great. Okay? But if you did not hire your own inspector first, this is where it's another one of those stress points for my sellers. So what's going to happen is the inspector's going to write up an inspection report. He's going to include pictures, and he's going to be nitpicky as all get out. So the buyer has to go through with their realtor and look through the inspection report. And now we're in another round of negotiations. You weren't expecting it. You guys did the negotiations. We settled everything. Now we've got this inspection report. Okay, it's another round of negotiations, and this is where I need my sellers to calm down. Okay, take a deep breath. The buyer is most likely, if there are issues with the home, the buyer may try to negotiate the repairs, to have you repair those things, or to lower the price of the home to cover the repair of those things. That's normal, that's natural. The inspection report will have things that are safety issues, structural issues, and then things that are nitpicky, okay? This is all negotiable. Safety and structural issues, if we don't get them fixed, could kill the deal. It gives the buyer an out, okay? But no need to panic. No need to panic. Because if there's a safety or structural issue and you're living in the home, you probably want it fixed too. And even if this deal falls apart, we get them fixed, they won't come up in the next deal, okay? They'll be taken care of. Which is, again, why I go back to probably a good idea for you to have your own inspection before we put it on the market. So that's another round of negotiations that a lot of sellers are not prepared for. They think they're done with that part of it. I want you to be mentally prepared in the process. So we get through those. 9 times out of 10, not a big deal. It sounds scary. It looks scary. It's not a big deal, I promise you. Now we come to the lender is going to want to have an appraisal done, right? They need to make sure that what their loan is covered by the value of the home. Another reason why you should not overprice your home. So let's say you overprice your home and by some miracle, some buyer is willing to pay more than it's worth. They go to get a loan from their lender. The lender is going to send an appraiser in there, and that appraiser is going to give the actual value of that home, okay? And they're going to go through a very similar process that I go through when I do a market analysis. And they're going to come back and they're going to tell the lender the house appraises at X amount. And the lender's only going to loan X amount based on the appraisal. So overpricing your home doesn't mean you're going to get it, okay? This is another reason why you need your realtor to be completely upfront with you about what your home is probably worth. All right, so the appraisal process comes through. The deal can have a hiccup there if your home does not appraise at that value. There's several options. Number one, it does allow the buyer to possibly be able to escape the contract, because if they can't get a loan, and there's usually a finance contingency in that contract. And most buyers are not willing and aren't able even to make up the difference by putting more cash down. So that's the next sort of negotiation phase. If your home doesn't appraise for what the contract is for, you have options. One of them is to bring we renegotiate the price, okay, so that it matches with the appraisal and the lender can then loan your buyer the money. Not the ideal situation, but it does happen, especially in quickly fluctuating markets. Fortunately for us, we don't have that problem as much now just because, the downturn in the market and prices are going back up. Now, on occasion, um, prices may jump. It's not so much happens in our area, but in some other areas of the country, prices go up so quickly that the appraisal data doesn't catch up. But that's not, I don't see that as being a problem. So, appraisal, inspection, second set of negotiations, appraisal, third set of negotiations, and then we're ready for the closing table. All right, that's all I have for you today. Again, my name is Laura Kombrink. I'm a realtor with EXP Realty, and I serve the communities around Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. If you have questions, comments, want to talk to me about real estate, my information is down below. All you got to do is reach out to me, and I would love to have a conversation with you. You have an incredible day. And our next discussion is going to be closing day, and that'll wrap up our series on selling your home.